Good morning, welcome to a Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Tuesday the 11th of July. So what we've got in store today, firstly let's look at the possible news which could have an impact on our trading. Well, yesterday, actually, let me just refresh this. Actually it has refreshed. It was more talk than action. Just looking through the jobs report for the UK, inflation, wage inflation continues to push up there. Expected at 6.8, came in at 6.9. The claimant account changed, increased to 25,000, by 25,000 there, as opposed to 20,000. What we got going for today then, we got the German economic sentiment. I often talk about this and say it's got absolutely no impact, or it's very little impact. Well, we'll see. It's had little impact in the past, and more recently it does have a little bit more action in it. The rest is really into tomorrow. Now, obviously looking forward to the New Zealand data. Just going to run onto here because yesterday, it's disappeared now, yesterday's data, but we had a lot of speakers in the afternoon which created a lot of volatility where we're sitting at the moment. Then we've got Fed Bullard speaking there at 2 o'clock, and that's all aside of the German data at the moment. So just checking on that. Missed doing it in the with you guys in the morning, so just have a look at that service to see who's speaking. They still do not get all the speakers. There's stuff out there which we have no idea of when people are speaking, and there you go. Right, let's have a look at the currency pairs then, and starting off with the euro dollar, and this sort of huge, I say huge, but this ugly-ish bull flag is playing off at the moment. We've seen the break at the top of it a couple of days on Friday. Yesterday we've seen a continuation eventually, and then another push. Now I looked at this in the morning yesterday for a potential trade, and well, at the time it popped up rather quickly, so I left it alone, and later on in the morning after 10 o'clock it popped up, double topped, rolled over. As it happened, it might have, if I played the flag on the earlier move, may have stayed in there for the target. But when I see these in the morning, just a word of caution is that I don't always, or don't manage to always get into them. Sometimes I just miss them. Other times they do what it did yesterday. It pulled up there, took some time, rolled back over. Yeah, it started picking up at post 10 o'clock, 10 till 12. I don't really like taking trades. Well, this one would have been as typical corrective movement that we often see there. Didn't quite catch the pivot there yesterday. Anyway, some of you may have got in on the flag. I certainly didn't on there. I was looking more on the pound, but we'll come on to that in a moment. But for now, the euro dollar, it's up into its R1 here. Now again, well, I do like, there's other trades I have which have pretty decent probability when it hasn't touched the daily pivot, but it looks like a very thin target up to the R2. So at this stage I won't be doing too much with it. Coming back then to, or coming across to the pound, let's take a look at the upper time frame. So yesterday managed eventually to get pushed back up there again in the afternoon. Saw the opportunities. From a monthly perspective, we're into its R1. There is scope for it to push onwards, onwards and upwards there really. At the moment it's taken out these prior highs. We saw it coming in last week into its R2, rolled over, but it's now taken that out. So looking more positive. Now I was looking for the flag quite early on, didn't happen, rolled over, so didn't get into this one either. But it eventually would have broken all my rules on flags, and well, it did. and then eventually it moved with the speakers later on. So as I've said a lot lately, we're seeing a lot more movement by when the speakers are coming in 2, 3 o'clock, sometimes news of course at 1:30, but this was really speakers coming through here. Okay, there's the pound anyway. Nothing right now for me. It's gone quite fast. Maybe an opportunity on towards the R2 later. Dollar yen. Dollar yen, well, continues to strengthen here, and this is a bit of a theme that might stay in. Now, I was looking at the 145, as I mentioned last week, a couple of weeks ago. It ran into that area, and that's giving it the resistance at the moment. It might just continue through, and that lower highs confirmed there yesterday afternoon, and it's continuing to look reasonably soft. Again, just real, I say again, but would be really looking for retracements to sell into here. Won't be looking just to sell on the break of the lows, so we'll see what develops there, but not for me today at the moment. Aussie dollar continues in this horrible choppy scene. I'm not even going to take it beyond that. Oh, sorry, I should come back to it and say, I know some people saying, well, yeah, it's consolidated, it's got to go at some stage. Possibly. Actually, it's just come down to 60 minutes to look at what's going on within that range, because there is a range potential there, I suppose. The break I don't like. Breakout on it, it's the pattern in the middle. It's too variable. It's got scope to roll backwards towards the prior lows, maybe towards its S1 at some stage, but needs to get a bit of a wiggle on. Not the best looking picture, so best avoided really. US dollar CAD was waiting for this breakdown yesterday. Didn't happen. In fact, it was pushing up at the time. Eventually, later on, it started strengthening, and it was quite late before actually, throughout the Asian session, when it actually triggered my signal. I say signal, my alerts, but was not up to trade it. It does look like it's got potential to continue on this picture. Now, the bigger picture, of course, it looks pretty decent in as well. So it's got, as I say, it's got scope to continue here, and this is probably one of my sort of favourites in terms of what's happening. Just getting into it now, but does look good for the short side. New Zealand dollar, choppy as anything here at the moment. It's a bit like the euro, the Aussie rather. Not interested. Euro yen gave me a trade yesterday afternoon, but it's a short-term trade. It'll probably look great in a while, but it's a particular strategy I use, and may have identified something near the top, but it's only based on short-term trading. So again, with this euro yen, looks like it's got the scope to roll, a bit like the US dollar yen. Looks like they could roll over. Now, this hasn't hit its pivot, so again, got a bit higher probability of running through to the S2. Right, euro pound. This is a sure miss one this morning so far. Was the bear flag, inverted flag there? It's gone off. Nothing to be done on that for now. And the rest of these pairs, a lot of these like euro Aussie, well, like the pound Aussie, etc., not worth the trade. Euro CAD is consolidating around these highs here. It might have the potential for a further shove up there. It did later in the day there yesterday. I missed that because, well, it was just too late, and I wasn't around. I could have put buy orders on it. There's scope for it, but it's doing it again today. It did exactly what it did yesterday. We'll see what happens here. There might be an opportunity later on. It's just clipped into its quarterly pivot there. Okay, I don't have a great deal else at the moment to share with you. I think probably a US dollar CAD, if you can get into the trade on the short side, looks possibly one of the best. Just quick look at the Aussie CAD now. Of course, the Aussie's not doing anything. The Aussie New Zealand are both quite choppy, although Aussie just getting its way in the short term, but don't like the look of the overall picture here. It was coming off nicely for the short side, but not happening at the moment. Right, okay, so I'll leave the currencies there. Quick look then at gold. we switch over onto gold here. Dailies here. It's trying to get back up there. Sentiment from the big money changed a little bit, and it's looking a little bit more positive. Perhaps we'll see it pushing up. It has put a higher low in, which is probably easy to see here. Just about there's the previous low, there's the next low, and we've taken out the highs between the two of them. So higher low being moved into there. Not the prettiest of patterns, but if we see a continuation of the dollar being sold, I'd expect gold to follow up as well. Oil. So yesterday ended up just running back into these sort of prior highs here, this sort of area where we're seeing some selling. Has got the sequence of high lows, higher highs running through there, which is more bullish, but it's slow. And yesterday you can see here how ugly it was, selling off in the late afternoon there, 1700 hours, 5 o'clock, came back off there. So it is struggling to gain any clean momentum. We get the odd days where it sort of runs through and pushes up, but it's an ugly one on the short term. Okay, equity markets, brief run through here. CSI 300 continue to look sort of bearish. It's got a wedge going in there now, pennant sort of ish, very unreliable pattern, or relatively unreliable. Really not doing too much there, so leave that alone. The Nikkei, well, mentioned this yesterday, taken out the lows there. Well, gapped up and took the lows out again, that same sort of area. It's kind of coming off the boil a little bit, but that wouldn't mean I would just go ahead and sell it. It's got potential overall, and it did, so I'll come back to it, did actually manage to close higher than it had closed yesterday, just fractionally. It doesn't look like it from where it is, but it did. Nifty 50 is the one that's holding on the best at this stage, and still we're seeing high lows obviously on this bigger picture, and consolidating around the highs here. Looks like it's got more upside potential. Aussie 200, well, not so much potential on this. It's still got the lower high sort of patterns through on this daily. It has a small, I say this morning through the Asian session there, pitched up a little bit. Maybe for those that play the ranges, it might be a bit more interesting if it continues through tomorrow. But I'd rather pay the downward range than the upward range on something like this that's pushing down, trending down. S&Ps, well, finally got a little bit of bounce yesterday. There's a lot of favour back in the S&Ps, and we could see this really just continuing. So potential, but small ranging days. Dow Jones, relatively anyway. Dow Jones, it's in a range, isn't it? Really, it's sitting in the range. It's just picking up again. Potential to run back towards the upside is reasonable. Nasdaq again, well, it's sitting in a tight old range around its highs again. For me, this looks like it's got potential, more gas in the tank. Coming nearer home then, DAX not looking so good overall here. Yes, it's in fact putting together a bit of a bear flag in terms of its lower high there. Not at all looking the best at all, and the FTSE yesterday still floating around, or sitting around its lows there. Got to come out a tad on the FTSE just to see what's going on. Really not shaping up too well here, so still a bit bearish on that. Okay, that's pretty much it for me today. I wish you a great day's trading, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Bye for now. Alright guys, just catch you in a minute.